All right, so this is 5.5 part 2. We're dealing with logarithmic and exponential functions. Here we have an exponential function where we have 4 raised to the x plus 3, and that's going to equal 3 raised to the negative x. So we're going to go ahead and start solving this. And since we have exponents, we're going to want to take care of those with logs. All right, so we have a log base 10 4 with an exponent of x plus 3, and then I have a log base 10 3 raised to the exponent of negative x. So I'm going to just quick remind folks that this is going to come down in front, and again this is going to come down in front. All right, and so that's where this came from, and this negative x. That's where those two things came from. So we took our exponents, we brought them down in front. Now, because I've got two terms here, I need to go ahead and deal with this, have a log base 10 4 on each of these, okay, as we pull them apart. So I'm going to have an x log base 10 4, and I'm going to have an x log base, or I'm going to have a 3 log base 4. So what's happened here, there's a couple of steps that keep jumping. So here what we have is we have an x log base 3, or log base 4, I mean, and then we have a plus 3 log base 4, and that equals our negative x log base 3. All right, so that's this piece and this piece. We've brought that down, we've sorted that all out. Now, I'm going to take this x and this x, I want to factor those x's out. I want to isolate them. So I'm going to have x log base 4, or log base 10 4, plus, I'm going to add this to the other side, so I'm going to have x log base 3, or log base 10 3, and that's going to equal, I'm going to move this to the other side, so I'm going to have a negative 3 log base 4, which is where this comes in. All right, they don't do a very good job of explaining those steps. I want to make sure they get included, so I'm kind of spelling them out here. Now, we can go from here and isolate our x. That's kind of the whole point in shuffling everything around. We want to get that x by itself. So we've got x multiplying the value of log base 4, or log base 10 4, and log base 10 3, and we're going to divide by that value on both sides. Now, the question was raised in one of my classes whether or not this could have been done as a log base 4 times 3, and the answer is yes, it can. So you could have had negative 3 log 4 over log 4 plus 3, or 4 times 3, I should say. 4 times 3 instead of 4 plus 3. So that's going to give us a 12. So this would give us the same as a log 12. All right. And when you go ahead and plug in actual values for that, you'll wind up with a negative 1.6737. All right, so we've done the exponential side and solved that using logs. Now we're going to go using logs and solve them with exponential functions. All right, again, this is stuff we've been doing. We hadn't really thought about it in these terms, but we've been kind of doing this all the way along. All right, so we're going to start with a log base 3 x equals negative 2. Well, if you stop and remember what what this is, we can undo this. This is our base, right? So we're going to have a base of 3. And then this is our exponent. So we're going to have a negative 2 equals our x. Right? And this, we've been doing this now a couple of sections, right? So this should be pretty easy at this point. So there's what we have. So we're going to wind up with a 1 over 3 and 3 squared, right? So this becomes a 1/9, right? That negative 2 is an exponent. Remember, that means we take it to the other side of the fraction. So that becomes a 1 over 3 squared. Now, of course, we're going to want to check that, plug in that 1/3 or 1/9. Does that work? The answer is yes, it does. So we're happy because it's true. All right, so this one, there's a little bit going on here, and I want to point out a few things. Remember, and I've kind of been emphasizing this, but I want to make sure everyone's real clear on the fact. If there's no value here, and it's a log, it's understood to be 10. All right, and that's going to play here pretty importantly in just a moment. But log base 10, obviously the ln, yeah, that wasn't what I meant to do, that was an h. ln is going to be the same as log base e. So just remember, those two are given, sort of like if I say I have x, it's understood that I have 1x. All right, so here we're going to go ahead and work from here. There's our original problem. We're going to factor out that log, right? So it's going to be log times log is going to have the x times x plus 3. We're going to multiply those through, and remember, this is going to be, I'm going to have a log, I'm going to have a, when I take this log and I get rid of it, remember my base was 10, so I also had a 10 here, right? So that's how that came up to be a 10 over 1. I was going to say I also have, I could have said log x squared plus 3x, and then gone on from there. I could have had the 1. Neither of these would have been wrong. You could have done either way. Either approach will work. So in this case, we've got it raised, our 10 there, raised to the 1. And so that gives me an x squared plus 3x equals 10. We're going to go ahead and subtract the 10 to the other side, set it equal to 0. We're going to solve for our quadratic. We're going to wind up with an x equals 2 or x equals negative 5. All right, quick check this. We're going to check our 2. When we go ahead and do that, we have a log base 2 plus a log base 5. Well, we know that that means a log log base 10. So log base 10, 2 times 5, that's going to give us a 10, which is the same as our 1. So that one checks out. We're happy with that. This one is a little more problematic, and here's where it becomes problematic. In both of these cases, this is going to give me a negative value. Here's a log of negative 5, which we said cannot have a real solution, and we've got a log, and then that's going to become a negative 2, which again, we don't have a real solution for that. Now, if we had something like this, if we had, in place of this, if we had a log and we were told a -5, but this was a +10 instead of a +3, right? So if I had a -5 plus 10, that would have given me a +5, and that would be okay. So just because you have a negative here doesn't automatically mean it's not going to be possible. You do need to check, because if this were the case, you'd have been fine. Because it's not the case, and as soon as you hit one or the other of these, right, this one's like, okay, we can't do that, so we stop, we're done. So you want to be sure that you're doing this extra step to make certain that you are not missing something. So there we go. You can see that that's not going to work, and we're done with that problem. All right. I'm going to pause this here, and we got a little bit left to go. I'll see you on part 3.